Dun,
I'm
dun,
just
dun, dun.
I'm gonna
Dun,
pretend you're
dun,
not
dun,
there.
dun.
Also,
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm getting music in the front of this, so someone's actually
Okay, well,
making like an
I'll
introduction.
be the
Okay.
music for now. Ready?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Mhm.
Bad days. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Bad days podcast. Dun, 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 dun.
Uh, okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Bad Days, the podcast. My name is Rachel and I am your host. And I'm very excited because this week I am inviting my first guest speaker, Monique. Say hello.
Hi, guys. Lovely to be here.
So, Monique is also a small business owner, and I thought it would be a really good idea to maybe every couple of weeks invite a guest speaker to talk about their business, even if it's not fashion or anything like that. Should we explain how we met?
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we met, oh, what year was it? Like 2018.
No, it was
2018.
2017. No, because
Wow. It
we
feels like
graduated in
ages ago. Hey, yeah.
2016, and then both of us kind of fled the country.
We did. We did.
Yeah.
We had nothing for us here. No
Oh
friends,
no.
no nothing.
I mean,
So speak for yourself. I think so. Both of us in school, I think we both decided we were like, oh, I don't know what we want to do. So all of our friends were going to uni, and I think both of us just decided that maybe leaving would be best. So I'm actually from Brisbane, and Rachel's from Sydney, as most of you know. And we both met in London on our so-called gap year, I guess you could say it was.
yeah.
We both had our working visas, and we were over there for about 2 years. I think we were both there for that.
No, I was there for
Ish.
only like a year, and then you stayed for other reasons.
I did.
Yeah.
That we will not go into.
We will not. Basically,
Let's just say they involve a British twat. Anyway.
okay, basically, we decided that we were going to be au pairs, which if you guys don't know, an au pair is basically a live-in nanny, and you get essentially free food and free accommodation. You just look after their kids for 5 days a week, and you're
It's
kind
not
of,
as great as it sounds.
it sounds great, but you're kind of severely underpaid, and that's just a whole other issue. We didn't have any
living in
money.
London, exactly. And living in London as well, like it's expensive, as you can
Yeah.
imagine. Like even just the money I would get week to week, like wouldn't even pay for my transport, like to and from places if we were to actually travel, which is what we were there for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway.
But yeah, we
yes.
met online. I after a while, a lot of, because people in Europe, they, especially if they're like au pairs, they often leave England or leave their like nannying au pair job to go study in around June, July, August. And I had no friends at that point because all my friends kind of just like left. And so there was this nannying app, and Monique was the first person that I messaged off of it. I was just like, hey, this is kind of weird, but
it wasn't even a message. It was a full-blown email. It was an email, like signed Rachel Weisz down the bottom of it.
and yeah, you messaged me on Instagram, and then we saw each other every single day for about 6-7 months.
Yeah, we instantly clicked. It was so good. I don't believe any of us ever thought we would get into businesses. I think we were still, because we were still quite young. We were 18, 19, and we were still in that like phase where we weren't sure what we wanted to do. We were kind of in London to travel a bit, kind of get a gist of the person we were, like the people we were.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, because both of our businesses started, what, just over a year ago now?
Yeah. But I think that
Yes.
the England thing is still important because it clearly shows how very independent we were.
I would be in such a different place if I didn't go.
Yeah.
Probably the best decision I ever made was to go overseas so young and just have that experience, because it like shaped me into who I am now. And like my maturity levels is up there, my confidence levels. Like I was such a shy little thing before I left.
I mean, I brought you out of that.
You kidding. Definitely did. Yeah. Let's just say Rachel changed me for the better.
Oh, I mean, if it's for the better, sure. Yeah, but, and then we both came home, and then I think, well, I don't know about you, but I was pretty lost at that point. I took another 6 months off, 6 months off uni, so I didn't go, and I was very far behind from everyone else that was my age. And then yeah. So at what age or at what point in your like career journey did you decide you wanted to be a business owner or get into brows at least?
So same thing as Rachel said, like when I got back, I really struggled to find my niche. Like all of our friends were like in the midst of uni because we had been gone for 2 years. They were like in the middle of uni, almost graduating, like all different levels. And then I was there like, I still don't know what I want to do. And even though we were only like 20, 21 at this age, it feels like we're supposed to know what we want to do for the rest of our lives. And I definitely did not. And I feel a majority of people our age are in that exact same boat. Like, I don't know how we're supposed to know what we want to do at such a young age.
Yeah.
So I got into uni to do early childhood education, deferred that because I didn't want to waste the money if I didn't know if I wanted to do that.
I didn't know you did that.
I got into it. I didn't do it. Yeah.
Didn't the nannying job like scar you for life? Because it did for me. I don't think I could do it.
Hence the reason I didn't go into it. Yeah. Hence the reason I didn't go into it. And then I started my diploma of nursing. I think I did 6 months of that or 7 months or something. Because I was like, well, what's a good standard job that there are jobs and it pays well? And at this point in time, I think I did it just to make myself look good.
Yeah.
That sounds really bad, but I know a lot of like, I just wanted to study because all my friends were, right? I didn't want to be that one outcast person that like is doing nothing and working at Coles, because I was working at Coles at this time. And yeah, so it just kind of stemmed from that, I guess, because I quit nursing after 7 months. I did my first placement and then I had a proper think about it and I was like, look, this isn't for me. My family and friends really wanted me to keep going just so I did have that thing on my resume, but it really wasn't making me happy, and I wasn't going to spend that however much it was to do the diploma if I knew I wasn't going to do it eventually, right?
Yeah.
But I still felt like I was like, well, I have to do something, right? So I left nursing, and then I felt bad because my friends and family, like, they supported me throughout that nursing journey because I think they really wanted me to do well, because nursing is a good a good standard career to have, and it's a really good thing to be in my resume. And then Rachel came to visit me. I don't even know where it was, sometime last year, earlier.
I go visit once a year, or try and do more.
She comes annually, and it's the best, like, 1 week of my life. And we went and got our brows done together, and I both know we were pretty unhappy, I'm gonna say. Like, it was,
I remember we went there and she did a really good job. She spent like literally 20 to 30 minutes measuring our brows each. So the shape of it was like phenomenal, but they were so dark. And I remember we went back to our hotel room and we went into the bathroom. We started scrubbing our eyebrows.
Scrubbing the hopper. Yeah.
To each other, like,
so no, she, as a brow artist, she was incredible. She did a really good job just for our particular brow. Like, obviously I'm blonde and Rachel's ginger, so like having black brows was not a vibe, but it was, the shape was, like, they were really good. And then because I think that was like honestly my first proper time getting my brows done. I'd never really put much thought into it prior. And I really loved the shape of them, and I was like, how can I, like, because it'd be an interesting career, and I never considered beauty. Like, I am not into makeup, I am not into any of that. Skincare is great and all, but like I've never been into, like, getting my nails done is about as much as I do, really. So I had like a look around, and it was just kind of for a fun thing, like maybe a hobby or something to do with friends and family. I ended up doing my short accredited course, which was, it's really cheap to do, and it's the ones, like the standard one you need to be able to do waxing in Queensland. I'm not sure about New South Wales, but that's for Queensland. And then anyway, I did model, like I had a few models for that, and I absolutely loved it. They loved it. So after I did my course, I just kept practicing on friends and family, because I was like, oh, this is like kind of a fun hobby, like I really enjoy it. And not that I enjoyed, like, I've always been into art and everything like that, so I think like brows was kind of similar. And I loved it, and the confidence it gives people, like when you show them their brows at the end, it's amazing. And obviously the brows that I did were absolute trash when I started, because that's everything when you start something. So yeah, and one thing led to another, and Rachel was over again for my birthday. I did her brows, and then I started the business on the side. So this was, I was still working at Coles at this point, and I was doing 3 days at Coles, 3 days at Brows. And I was just working from home. And within 3 months, I had that many clients where I was able to quit Coles and work for myself full time. And that was in July last year. And I've been working for myself ever since.
That's so exciting. So, what made you want to work for yourself rather than to work for somebody else, or is just working like as a brow artist easier as self-employed? Is that I don't know anything about the brow industry, so that's why I'm asking.
I don't know anything about the fashion industry apart from your podcast, so we're in this together.
Nice.
I think mostly, I mean, the idea for people of working for yourself is everyone's dream, right? Like everyone is like, oh, how good would it be? There are so many pros and cons to it that people don't
Yeah.
realize. Like there are more cons to working for yourself than pros. Absolutely. I adore it, and I can't imagine myself working for someone else again. Um, but at the same time, like you don't think about all the other things, right? I have to pay my own super, do my own taxes. Like there are so many overheads and costs that people don't think of.
Yeah.
I think the thing that made me, again, I didn't necessarily push myself into working for myself. That's just how things ended. Like I could have got a job working in a salon just doing brows that way. It kind of just worked out that I started working for myself, and I just haven't even thought about working for someone else because I like being my own boss. I like
Mhm.
being the person that when people come to get their brows done, I'm the only one that works with them. So they get the same person every time, and it's a lot more personal, like one on one.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily imagine myself working for someone else again, just because I think I've gotten, like, my business is my baby and I don't want anyone else touching that. I am
Yeah.
really excited for the future though. Like, I am wanting to hire more people. I was hoping that it would happen by the end of this year, but just with COVID and things, it's not an option. But eventually opening up my own storefront or a few storefronts and hiring people would be the absolute dream. And I know it's going to happen because I'm really working hard on my business and have been for so long. So I
Mhm.
know it's going to happen. It's just depends on timing. I think working, you really, if you want to start a business and work for yourself, you really have to put in the work. Like, it
Oh
is
yeah.
not an easy job. People, you're like, we know how hard
Yeah.
it is, and people really think that, you can choose your own hours and be really flexible, earn your own money, and like you don't have to pay things, but it is so much more than that. Like, it's unreal how much money I've spent on my business. Like, it
Yeah.
is unreal how
Oh,
much money.
trust
So
me.
people, it's
No.
like people going to uni and studying law and spending 50 grand on like law degrees or however much it may be. I'm spending that on my business. Like, it is not a cheap thing to do. And even
Yeah.
though I'm just doing brows, like, can you imagine people who are doing full blown clothing businesses and everything like that? Like, we both know how much money it is, and there's a lot of cons to it as well. But on the plus side, there is also a number. I'm rambling on, but there is also a number of pros to it as well, like working for yourself, like choosing your own hours, things like
Yeah.
that. I have gone from working in my mum's study to moving out by myself, relying on myself with my money within a year. So if you put
Yeah.
in the work, it's gonna happen. You just have to do it.
Yeah, I was going to actually talk to you more about the money side of it as well, because even though I am only part-time, I know how much money goes into it. Do you still struggle? I assume you would have at the beginning because I feel like everyone does, but do you still or did or didn't struggle with pricing yourself fairly or pricing yourself so that you're not underpaying yourself?
Freaking absolutely. Like, people
Yeah.
don't realize how much work goes into it, right? You go and get a service done. Let's say you go get your brows done. You're averaging paying like what, 30, 40 bucks, 50, depending where you're going.
Yeah.
Um, there is stock, there are website costs, there are rent, there are bills, utility, your like our time. There are so many other things involved. When I first started, I was so cheap. Like I think I was like $15 for a brow wax and tint.
I
Like
remember you messaging
just
me as well and being like, hey, is this enough? And I was just like, I think you're
is this like
underselling yourself. I don't know.
yeah, no,
Like,
I definitely was. I definitely was because all I was worried about was gaining a clientele to start with.
yeah.
So I don't necessarily regret starting so low. I just wish I knew my self-worth because
Yeah.
now my average price is $55 per service. And even then, I'm still the cheapest in like the area.
Yeah.
And for my services, like I know my worth now. I know how much money I have put into my training because I have done like the amount of training I've done over this year has been insane. So I know my self-worth now and I know I am worth that money that people pay. And if they're wanting me to do their brows, they are willing to pay that money, you know?
Yeah.
So you just need to up yourself a little bit because definitely at the start, like setting costs and stuff, it's scary because you want
Yeah, it
people to
is.
buy your product, but at the same time, you don't want to like, yeah, you need to know your self-worth and know your time because I know how much time you spend on like those bags
Oh my God. It
and it's
takes like 15 hours and
literally, and
yeah.
then people, but they will complain, but then they will buy something from like beginning boutique for like 150 bucks and not even second guess it. And then there's some
Yeah.
kid making that, yet it's you spending 15 hours on one bag and people aren't willing to spend that. Like it's just, I get it though, because that is just how
Yeah.
things are.
Yeah, and it's annoying having to like as a small business owner, you have to justify yourself to your like you don't need to, but you feel like you have to justify yourself as a small business owner whereas someone from like I don't know, a fast fashion company or anything like that, they don't have to question they don't have to tell you why they charge their bags at that price. You just go for it. You're just like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sure, take my
absolutely.
money." But for us, we feel like we have to explain why as a small business owner we're charging that amount for the service and the time and the product and et cetera, et cetera. So
I saw this
I get it.
influencer the other day. She was posting, she wears like this one bag all the time. You probably know who I'm talking about. She wears this one bag all the time and they are $350 per bag.
Yeah.
She has sold that many because she's simply posting in it. And it's from a standard, like a standard business, like a standard fashion boutique. Like it's not, you have no idea how much one small sale can mean to like a small business. I
Literally.
remember when I first like, and it's actually unreal because I every time someone would book when I first started taking bookings, I do a little happy dance. Like it makes it's not a lot of money and but it makes like my I'm like, oh my god, people actually want to come see me. What? Like there's
Yeah.
so many other like brow artists or everything around and they want to come to me. And I'm sure it's the same with you. When you get to sell anything, you're like, I made a sale. Like
I
people
know.
are
I know. I
investing
know.
money into me and my small business, and it's such a good feeling. That's like half the reason I do it. It's like such a good feeling when people want to come to you and like when you get a message or anything, being like, "Oh my god, I love the bag," or "I love my brows," or anything like that. Like people, it's incredible.
I know. It's so
Yeah.
exciting. I sometimes have to like especially when I got my first bag sale as well. I kind of went over the top and I just made something extra. I had no time, absolutely no time to do that little
Yeah.
extra. Like I made it with the loose yarn, the leftover yarn that I had left. And I
Hmm.
literally spent so much time trying to make that extra product to be like, oh, thank you so much for purchasing. Like, here you go. Here's a
Yeah.
little extra
Right.
something, something. No reason,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's super exciting. Do you think that how big of a role does social media play in it? Is it would you have a business without it, essentially?
No.
Neither. Same.
Straight up, no. Social media is my worst enemy.
Agreed.
Yeah, social media is incredible, but it is also the absolute devil at the same
Yeah.
time. I would not have a business without it. Instagram has done absolute wonders. Like giving that word of mouth is so much more powerful than people think it is.
Mhm.
You tell someone where you got something and people see it on you in person or look at your brows in person and they are so more inclined to buying that than just seeing some photos on a grid on your phone. Social media again is insane. The amount of negativity on there is also not
Oh my god,
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, especially in the beauty industry, the amount of competitiveness and like everything is insane. Like it's crazy. The world, like
Really?
Yeah, the
See,
beauty industry is crazy.
I feel like with my industry, it's a lot more supportive than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a lot of jealousy and a lot of competition, but because there's
Yep.
so many of us, it's actually, and a lot of us are just kind of like starting out, or like we're getting our first sales, or we're, I don't know, it's actually a lot more supportive than I thought it was. So I'm actually surprised to hear how competitive it is for a brow business online. Oh
I
my
think
God.
as well with fashion, with the big brands, they all copy each other, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just a thing. With you small businesses, you all have your own individual uniqueness value, whether that comes from your product or the business itself. So there's a lot more support with that. Yet
Mm-hmm.
I do brows. The person in the next street does brows. Like it's the competitivism, it's really, really supportive, don't get me wrong, but there will always be that competitive with it. It's
Yeah.
not so much like, oh my gosh, I have more followers than you. It's more like it's literally everything. And I do love the beauty industry, and there is really like I have amazing friends that are like doing what I do as well. It's just it will always be like that. It's going to be competitive no matter what you are. Like the fashion, if you like if small businesses become really big, it's going to become competitive with other small businesses. Like that's just how it is. But
Yeah.
when you're all small and still working up, it can be better. But I guess it obviously just depends on the industry.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I didn't really go into I just went into competitivism. I didn't really say that because social media, like, it is amazing, but it's just I fucking hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if it
Um,
wasn't around, you'd still be okay anyway, because you would have like other
I
people
wouldn't be
who
on
aren't.
social media if it wasn't for my business.
Yeah. I've been wanting to
Yeah,
delete my social
I'm
media
the
three
same.
times and or so
Yeah,
many times, and I can't because I need it for my business, or I wouldn't have a business, period.
me.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah. Like
exact same.
my whole business started on social media, and then having to, if I got rid of that, I would probably have nothing. I would probably just be making bags and
Yeah,
not knowing, just wearing them myself, which actually might be a good thing. I might have just used this as a hobby and not sold anything and just made stuff for me, because I don't make things for me. I literally don't have
I
time.
can't remember the last time I did my brows. You should see how hairy these things are, and it's my business, and I don't even wax my own brows.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like if there was no social media, I would probably be just doing this as a hobby, and there would be nothing wrong with that. Don't know
Mhm.
what I'd be doing as a career, but a hobby, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am worried for the long term on what I'm going to do because, again, like I said, my plan is to open the storefront and hire people, but like anything could happen. Brows are always going to be around, so I'm not concerned about that because the
Hmm.
beauty industry is like only getting bigger. But at the same time, like anything could go wrong. COVID almost shut me down about 6 times. Like there is, yeah,
Yeah. I
I've
don't know what you.
struggled. Like again, I only had the business for a year, but COVID is a bitch.
Yeah, I don't know what you would have done
Honestly.
if you were in New South Wales, honestly, because we've been out for, we only
Mm-mm.
just opened up a couple of weeks ago.
I
And
have so many beauty friends that are in Sydney, and like I've been talking to them throughout the whole lockdown, and it's been. I feel for you guys, honestly, I really do.
it was horrible. Would not recommend.
Mm,
You guys are lucky.
mm,
Yeah, social media is such a big part about owning a small business, especially because it's like one of the main ways that you can get your name out there. Um, Obviously, well, I don't have a storefront or anything like that. Um, so yeah, social media is huge. What would you say to people who are deciding between going to your business or a small business in general compared to just walking into a like a giant chain of brows? Like what would be the difference there in the beauty industry?
I think, like I said before, when we get a sale, like we have a jump of joy. But there is not only do you get the one-on-one person at like the personal touch to it when you come to a small business,
Hmm.
but again, you can support those big brands as much as you want. I think the difference between going to somewhere like a big chain of beauty, like a beauty spa or something, and then coming to a small business like myself, in the nicest way possible, you are more like a dollar sign to them. Yet for me, you are a name with a face. You're a person. And I love getting to know my clients. I have some amazing friends that I've met like with through my clients. I've made some great friends with clients because not only are you supporting my business, but you are in my chair. I am listening to you about how's your first date on Saturday? How is Mike and Millie, your children? Like, it's, it's a whole lot of personal touch in a small business, because you are supporting me, you are supporting the business, you are supporting my like pride and joy. And in all honesty, the work you get is a lot better. If you want to go into a beauty salon where they have trained each other, and go for it, because usually a lot of the time it is cheaper. But then if you come to somewhere like us, if you're willing to pay that little bit extra, you are going to get a lot more for what you pay for.
It's essentially paying for luxury. Like, that's what you're putting your money towards. You're putting your money towards a small business who is, or like, knows your name instantly, firstly, which is a big plus. Like, I know every single person. I see every single sale that comes up on my app. I know every single name. I already know if I see your name on there, I already know when you've shopped before, when, and what. And like, I know your face. And so I'm actually going to put in so much effort into writing a thank you note and maybe putting a little bit extra in there and like putting in a sticker and mailing it off and making sure everything is like absolutely perfect. Whereas if you're shopping from like a fast fashion brand or like a really big brand, and
you're literally just a dollar sign.
Literally, firstly, anyone who's, if it's a fast fashion brand, you're getting severely underpaid. So that's one issue. Secondly, you might get the order and like the hem is frayed, or there's just loose threads everywhere, and it's not made properly, it doesn't fit you right. Whereas like, I've actually put in hours to make sure that the measurements are perfect, to make sure that like everything is exactly the way that it needs to be, and putting in that little extra time, even if I'm not getting paid for it, to make sure that it is absolutely perfect, and we're doing that for you. Whereas a bigger business or a fast fashion brand or a big salon is doing it for the money, which of course we're also doing it for the money, but not only just the money. We're just doing it to live, I guess, essentially.
There's just a lot more one-on-one personal touch to a service when you go to a small business.
Yeah, exactly. So on speaking of customers, I want you to share one, or if you have one, a horror story of a customer, something that really just like irked you, something where, I don't know, you maybe felt like disrespected, or it just upset you, or they were just ridiculous. If you have a story in mind, would you like to share?
Oh, I have a few. With all small businesses come some horror stories as well. That's just, but for every crappy client that I have 50 good ones, so it's all worth it. All right, so this was when I was working out of a hairdresser. This was probably 3 months ago. I think this was just when New South Wales was going into lockdown. So Queensland was doing everything we could do to get everyone vaccinated as soon as possible. So I am pro-vax, as I know Rachel is as well, and everyone is fully, like, you can have your own opinions. It is what it is. I just ask that you respect each other's opinions. And this lady comes in, and she came in without a mask, and that is completely fine because some people have exemptions. So I simply asked her, I was like, oh, do you have a mask on you or anything like that? And she was like, no, I don't wear masks. And I was like, oh, okay, like an exemption? She was like, no, I just don't like wearing them. And I was like, oh, okay, yep, no, that's okay, yep. And I'm supposed to refuse service at this point, but anyway. And then I was like, okay, well, all good, do you mind checking in for me? And then using like the check-in app that you scan the ID and everything. And she was like, oh no, the government tracks me that way. So I politely was like, unfortunately, if you're not going to wear a mask and you're not going to check in, I won't be able to serve you today, which again sucks to me, because not only have I lost a client's spot, I lost money as well, because she has paid nothing. So I could have had another client book in there anyway. And she made it a big deal, and she was like, well, look, everyone deserves to have like their own way, and I completely respect that. Everyone does deserve to have their own opinions on all of this. It's literally just the government regulations.
No, because if you're putting someone in harm's way, especially if it's you, like, what if she had COVID and she just went into your service?
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
And
if she had brought COVID into my salon would close down. I would earn zilch. I would earn nothing because my business is shut. And half that's my fault because the client that I welcomed into my salon is not working with the rules of the actual government. But it is what it is. Whatever. Made a big deal about it. So anyway, she ended up agreeing and putting on a mask. I did her brows. She complained that the tint burnt her. And in the whole year and a half that I have been using this one tint, not once has someone complained that it hurts because it is literally made out of water.
I was going to say, I don't think tint is supposed to burn you. The waxing feeling after it's waxed, maybe just a little bit, but
yeah, no, this was
that,
the tint. This was the tint, and I wiped it off with water, and then she was like, "Oh my gosh, that burns," and I was like, "Well, it's literally H2O. Like there's nothing in there. It can't hurt." And then turns out she just wanted a discount at the end because we got some payment, which again is so important for small businesses because it literally pays for my bills and rent and stock and website and everything else.
Yeah.
And she was like, "So you're going to give me a discount because you burnt me?" And I hate confrontation, especially when it comes to clients. And I just want it to be happy, rainbows, smiles all around. But owning your own business, it's not all that. You have to back yourself up.
Yeah.
And she basically just said, "So am I going to get a discount because you burnt me?" And I was like, "Look, unfortunately, I didn't burn you. It's literally water. I still gave you my time. You still got the service you paid for. All this, like, her brows looked incredible. I'd done everything right." And she made this big deal. I got into tears. I gave her the service for free, and then I blocked her from booking again.
You gave it to her for free. Why would you do that?
Yeah. Well, because I literally, I was in tears at this point. She didn't give a shit. She was just like, "No, well, I'm not happy with this, and you shouldn't make people pay for something that, like, I'm not happy with." And I was like, "Well, okay."
Oh my God, people
So
are
there I was, little Monique, just in tears, and I was like, "Okay, whatever, I'm sorry." And then I just blocked her from booking again. So
at least you can do that.
yeah,
That's good. Oh my God.
well, she did tell me that if I get vaccinated, she won't be coming back. So I got vaccinated the next day.
Beautiful. Good. Yeah. I would have just stared her deep down in the eye and just been like, "Okay, fine. I'm getting vax tomorrow."
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, cool, Karen. See you never."
Literally. Oh my God, the disrespect. Like, this is literally your business. She came into your space, and getting the vaccine isn't even about you. It's about, helping other people. Making sure that they don't
no
get
one's going to
harmed.
care if you go to No one's going to care if you go to Macca's 3 times a day. They're not going to track you, hon.
Oh my God. Also, why would the government care if you walked into a brow salon? Like, what's that going to do? Cool. I keep myself maintained. That's it. What are you going to do?
Blows my mind sometimes. It blows my mind.
Literally. Anyway, I have one last question, which is if there is someone out there who is looking to start a small business in the brow industry, what advice do you have for them?
Or the beauty industry in general, to be honest.
Yeah.
Work your ass off and don't give up. The amount of times I was like, "This isn't worth it. Like, I'm not as good as them, blah, blah, blah." Because in the beauty industry, you will compare yourself to everyone. And with any industry, you will compare yourself to every other small business you come across. Every eyebrow post I see, I'm like, "Well, I can't do that." Yeah, I can. I just got to believe in myself. You need to put in the work and have like confidence, else you're going to get nowhere. If you do not believe that you can build your business up, and if you think you're going to suck, then you will suck. That's just how it is. You have to be strong, you have to be consistent, and you just have to try. It's crazy that I've gone from being a broken nurse that couldn't even finish one single diploma, working at Coles as a checkout chick, earning nothing, starting a business, working so hard within those first 3 months that I had enough clients to leave, work full time. I moved out of home for the first time by myself, and I pay all my bills while working on my own terms. And it is the best decision I've ever made. You really just need to trust yourself and have that confidence, because anything you think you can do, you definitely can do.
Yeah, I completely agree with the confidence thing. Like, I don't think I would. I don't know where I found the confidence to start a podcast, to be completely honest with you, or even a business in general. Like, the first instinct was, oh, well, I can't because someone's going to judge me. But
Yeah.
then I also stopped caring. And
Yeah.
now I'm pretty proud of where I've ended up. Like I'm
As
not
you should be.
I'm not full time yet or anything. I don't even think I can make this business full time, but I have so many other like future goals and plans with it that I don't even care as long as I have like the
Mhm.
actual confidence to do the things that I want to do within the business because it's my brand. I can do whatever I want with it.
And we
And
do it for us. We don't do it for
exactly.
other people.
I
Yeah.
have never made anything in my business to be like, oh my God, I hope that this person notices. And,
Literally.
I hope that they don't judge me, but like, I also just don't care. Like, I do it for me because it makes me happy. And if you're going to judge me, well, fine, blocked.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
stop giving a shit and just do it. Like nothing's stopping you. So if it
exactly.
doesn't work, it doesn't work. You won't know until you try.
Exactly. I mean, I haven't had anyone like come up to me and be like, oh, that's embarrassing. You have a business, but which they shouldn't because that sounds absolutely ridiculous.
People definitely thought that about the start with me. Like if
I
like
didn't.
me starting a brow business, yeah, you were supportive as frick. But I know there was people at like I know there was people at school that were like, oh, never interview. Like I never wore makeup or anything, so they probably were like, oh, I'm not trusting her with my eyebrows, and that's fair enough. But then no one openly said to my face, and actually, no one really gives a shit. Everyone was focusing on themselves. Everyone was
Yeah,
studying. Like, so what? You start a business. If people come and support you, they support you. If they don't, then they're not worth it. Like you
exactly.
literally, yeah, you need to stop caring what other people think. I wish I told my 18-year-old self that I would be so much more confident than I already am now.
Oh,
But
100%.
you,
We were
yeah,
little
yeah,
insecure little babies.
we were. The only
Yeah.
advice I can give is just stop caring what other people think.
Yeah,
Honestly,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, just go for it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for
Mm.
coming on.
You're so welcome. I'm going to give myself a little plug
A little plug. Oh,
before you
yes.
go.
Share all the handles. Where can we find you? Where can we book? Where are you based?
Yes. So I am in Brisbane in Queensland. I am in the Cannon Hill area near Carindale and all that. I have an Instagram, which is browseby.mon. I have Facebook. I have everything like that. I'm sure Rachel will make a little post and everything, and I'll make a little post as well.
I will.
Any questions ever about any business thing at all, feel free to message me. I'm always open to answer questions about anything and everything. And I really appreciate you having me on today. I had a lot of fun. This was a good chat, a good catch
This is
up.
good. We should do this more often.
We should do this more
I just
often.
need to come up to Queensland again. If you guys let the borders open, that would be great.
Let's get all vaccinated.
Yeah, let's just get up there. Just
80%, 80%.
literally. I was
Yeah,
gonna come up next week in my head at
I
least.
know. Yeah, but anyway, it was so good doing this. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.